Hello and welcome into the Pakistan Cricket Show. I'm your host Andrew McLean, and we're looking back at day two of the third test between Australia and Pakistan in Sydney. And it was an abbreviated day's play, and Australia, well, they'd faced one over yesterday after Pakistan made 313. And they batted on for another 46 overs today, reaching 116 for two. And today I'm delighted to be joined again by Rana Umir, and my very good friend Asim is also joining us. Good afternoon, gentlemen.
Andy. Good afternoon, Asim.
Hey, so I might go to you first, Asim, and I suppose it's not that much of interest to the listeners, but I actually met both Rana and Asim in the Imran Khan enclosure during the first test between Australia and Pakistan in Rawalpindi. It's almost 2 years ago now, isn't it? And I've become very friendly and been good mates with Asim ever since. But Asim, maybe let's just start with you. I mean, there's not too much to report on for today's play, but what's been your opinion, Asim, with Pakistan's performance so far in this series? Hello, Asim. Okay, looks like we might have just lost Asim there. Asim, if you can still hear me, maybe just drop out and then come back in again. That might be the way to go. Um, so we might go to you, Rana.
Yeah.
Are you there, Asim? Okay,
Hello,
yeah, Asim.
can you hear me now?
Yeah. Hear you well and very,
Sorry,
very
something
clearly,
not
very
clear.
clearly.
Yeah.
But I just wanted to
Some,
ask you, Asim. As a former first-class player in Pakistan, this was always going to be a tough tour for Pakistan. And obviously they were missing Naseem Shah. They had a couple
hmm,
of injuries
hmm,
early on.
hmm,
What have you made of their performance so far? Not even really talking so much about what happened today, but
hmm.
what have you made of Pakistan's performance in the series so far, Asim?
Andy, if you take my opinion, I think they have done pretty reasonably well. And the reason why I say that is because although they have lost the first two test matches, the first one was a pretty much one-sided affair, as we all know. The Perth is something where we have a very bad record right from the start. Even the best of the teams that Pakistan visited Australia in the Perth, then they were never able to cope up with the conditions. But in Melbourne, Pakistan gave a good fight, and in Sydney again. I mean, although it was just 46 overs that were bowled today, but if I see that the match is nicely poised at the moment, slightly edging towards Australia, but it is slightly poised. To your question, I think they have done reasonably well, given the fact that I mean, a lot of newbies in the team who haven't played a lot of international cricket at this stage, and Australian conditions are always tougher for the Pakistani bowlers specifically because in these conditions, so Pakistani bowlers are usually seam bowlers who like to seam the ball, but in Australian conditions, you have to hit the deck hard all the time, and these players are not used to these conditions. Quite for most of these guys, especially the fast bowlers that we have, if you take names, Mir Hamza, the other fast bowler who made 82 runs yesterday, Amir Jamal. These guys, this is their first tour to Australia, so the expectations were not very high. But still, I think the way they managed in the last test as well. I mean, we were able to take 20 wickets, 20 Australian wickets, which was a good landmark for them. I mean, this is something which they did well. We obviously were not expecting a series win here, but the performance that they have shown, the mindset, the approach that they have shown this time around, this is something which is a positive sign for Pakistan cricket. And I think as we move forward, we'll see good results coming from those guys, given that they're given more matches to play. Pakistan usually play not a lot of Test cricket throughout the year. It's mostly T20 cricket that they play. But if they get into Test cricket more, I think their performances will improve with the passage of time. These guys have potential. These guys have talent. These guys have skill. It's just that they need some experience. They need pre- some match practice to go with, so that I mean they can improve. So if you take my opinion, I think the performances, although we lost the series, like I said before, but the performances are okay, and I think this is a positive sign for Pakistan cricket as we move forward.
Um, and just coming to you, Rana. I mean, just looking at today's play. I knew I had a bit of a problem today. My TV wasn't working, and so I pretty much missed the whole day's play. There was a massive delay, and then it wasn't working. So I'm a little bit in the dark, but I know that Rana, you're a very avid follower of the match and very astute in your assessment. So Australia finished on 116 for two, as I seen mentioned, off 47 overs. So there was one over yesterday and 46 today. Um, but that's not a lot of runs in 47 overs, right? 116 for two. So something must have chimed with the Pakistan bowling today, and I can run through the figures. But before I do that, the bowling figures, that is. I mean, Rana, what did you make of the Pakistan's bowling effort today?
Yes, absolutely. Like the credit must be given to Mir Hamza, like the way he bowled the tight lines, and the figures speak itself. Like 10 overs, only considered 11 runs, and like keeping Australia less than 3 runs an over in Sydney, having the batting conditions. So I believe they're done reasonably well. Like 47 overs, only 116. But again, like the thing is, like the fielding have once again let them down. A catch was dropped by the debutant Sam Ayub, and yeah, again. So although it didn't hamper that much, like Warner was just on 20 when that catch got dropped, but eventually Aga Salman got him out on 34. That ball was pretty much very well bowled. Like that was a sharp spin, and as well he got bounce as well. So seems like in the next few days, so definitely off both the off spinner like Loin and Sajid Khan will come into play. So yeah, the only thing is that how far Australia goes in the first innings. Like the target in the mind of the Pakistani team definitely would be to like restrict them under 300. But the way the pitch have been behaving, like it's all due to the disciplined bowling, which was done by Mir Hamza and Sajid Hassan Ali today. They have scored with just a run rate of 2.5. Otherwise, the batting conditions, those were pretty much batting condition, nothing much for the bowlers. So yeah, this is my take on the day's play so far.
Well, just looking at that scorecard, guys. So David Warner was caught by Bubba at presumably at slip. As I say, I don't watch it, but I think from what you were saying, Rana off Aga Salman and Usman Khawaja. So that was he was out for 34. Usman Khawaja was caught by Mohammad Rizwan off Amir Jamal, who's having a great match. Took another wicket. Usman Khawaja was out for 47, and the not out batsmen were Manas Labuschagne, who was 23 not out off 66 balls, and Steve Smith was out not out on 6. But just looking at the amount of balls that were consumed, I mean, I know we all know that Usman Khawaja's, he's not a fast scorer, but Pakistan limited him to 47 off 143 balls, striking at 32, which is probably in line with what he normally does. But some of these bowling figures are seen were incredibly impressive. I mean, I think the most expensive bowler was Amir Jamal, who went for 3.25 and over. But basically, they really put the screws on Australia. And I mean, what do you put that down to? Do you put it down to like really, really good bowling, or was it the conditions? Was it that Australia was a bit tentative after having a fairly big first innings deficit.
Hmm.
What do you put the scoring rate and the I suppose the lack of runs by Australia
Hmm.
today in their 47 overs?
I think it was more of a disciplined bowling, good line and length. They weren't wavered. I think like the Perth Test. I mean, Australia is kind of a team. If you give them loose deliveries, they'll just put you away, irrespective of what sort of situation they are in. We have seen that in the World Cup final as well in the one day. I mean, they were three down, but they didn't stop their shots. So they're kind of a team that they have an attacking and aggressive mindset. If they see a bad ball, they'll just put that away, irrespective of situation that they are in. So I think it was just a good line and length, good use of the condition. The conditions were, like Umair said, were batting friendly. But what Pakistan bowlers did well, they were bowling stump to stump. They were just bowling stump to stump, and they were channeling that off stump line quite often. And with that line and length, with the little seam movement on and off, it gets hard for the batsman to hit openly and fairly. So I think it was disciplined bowling, and the same that after the Perth test, like I said before, we saw some discipline in the bowling. Bowlers obviously were let down by the fielders quite often, but the bowling was pretty much disciplined. They were not giving freebies, they were not giving free hits to the Australian batters, and that pushed them back. I mean, I was just seeing the scorecard. I didn't get a chance to see the entire match today, but I was seeing the scorecard. I mean, all the top three batsmen that batted, I mean, none of them crossed 50 strike rate, which is a good achievement in itself. I mean, restricting Australian batters in Australia, keeping them under a strike rate of 50 in a test match, I think that is a good achievement. And this is just the point I was building earlier. I mean, these guys have got potential. They know which areas to hit, which areas to target in test cricket. And if they are given much exposure, they will only improve with the passage of time.
Yeah, and just running through the Pakistan bowling figures. So at the top of the order is Sajid Khan. Of course, he bowled the one over last night. Bowled another 11 overs today. He finished with none for 38. Mir Hamza, as Rana mentioned, 10 overs, 5 maidens, none for 11. Outstanding. Um, Hassan Ali, 9 overs, 3 maidens, none for 19. Um, Amir Jamal, 8 overs, 1 maiden, 1 for 26. And Aga Salman, 8 overs, no maidens, 1 for 18. And bearing in mind, Rana, this is not Pakistan's by any stretch its first choice bowling lineup, right? I mean,
Mm,
Naseem Shah's not there. Obviously, Shaheen Shah Afridi's not there. Um, I forget the name of the guy that he got injured in the first test. So
Khurram Shahzad.
Pakistan's playing, I don't know, like it's certainly not their first choice bowling lineup, but I mean, in the toughest conditions of all in Australia, these guys are really performing, and Australia comes into day three on 116 for two. I don't
Mm,
think Australia is going to find it easy at all tomorrow because Pakistan's got a really nicely balanced attack with basically
mm,
with the frontline spinner Sajid Khan and then the backup spinner Aga Salman plus the three seamers who are not giving away any runs. Um,
mm.
so what do you think Australia might be looking to achieve tomorrow, and how do you think they might approach the game, given that their sort of strike force, David Warner's already out?
Sometimes these injuries could prove to be some sort of blessing. Like if we had Naseem Shah fit or Shahnawaz Zani or Ahsanullah, so no one would have seen how well Mir Hamza could be in Test cricket. Same goes with Khurram Shahzad. So I think it's good for Pakistan cricket. Obviously, like things would have been a lot different if we had our premier paces bowling in Australia. But I think these guys have done very well, and we know that now we do have the bench stand available with respect to the fast bowling. The fast bowling is the main department, which we have, like Pakistan actually have the legacy of producing very high quality fast bowlers, but lately we have seen a dip in that, like especially in the Test cricket. We haven't seen some good fast bowlers who are taking fifers or running through the entire batting lineup. So now, since these guys have got the exposure of bowling in Australia, so definitely they would be high in confidence. So, like in the upcoming series, you will definitely see these guys bowling with much more confidence and taking few more wickets. So I believe, like with the absence of the premier fast bowler, these guys have done exceptionally well. No one would have thought that they would be able to take 20 wickets. Like talking about the stats, last time when Pakistani bowling lineup took 20 wickets in Australia in a test match, that happened in 2010 in Sydney when Mohammad Asif was part of the bowling lineup. So it's been almost 14 years. After 14 years, we had a bowling attack in Australia who was able to take 20 wickets. Otherwise, would have been impossible for us if these guys haven't bowled such with good line lengths. So yeah, so like I think positives from this series obviously is with respect to the bowling lineup, that now we do have a second tier of bowlers available who can come in and bowl some good lines and get you wickets. So yeah, this is my
Okay,
take on this one
all
bowling.
right. Well, obviously it's all to play for Australia tomorrow, and there's nothing riding on it for them. Obviously, they trail by 197 runs. If they were to lose the match, no big deal really, because they've already won the series. But we know that David Warner is the ultimate showman. He seems to retire from something every single day, loses his cap. There's always something to keep Warner in the limelight. So I'm fairly sure Australia will want to win the match for you know for Warner basically, and I'm not sure he completely deserves it after what he said the other day that he has no regrets over the sandpaper issue. But that's another matter, and perhaps I'm just getting into my personal opinions. But Asim, I've got a question for you. I mean, you're a former first class player in Pakistan, and when I started doing this show a few weeks ago, I was just in the middle of a show with Rabail, and Mia Hamza was just not someone I'd heard of before. So I had a quick look at his record. His first class record is insane. He's played like over 100 games, taken multiple 5 wicket bags, many 10 wicket bags. So my question for you is that why has he not been in the Pakistan team? And by the way, his birthday's the same as mine, 10th of September.
Right.
I think he's 31. Okay, he's a bit younger than me, but why has he not been in the team?
Uh, well, Andy, he was actually given some chances before. I think he made his debut in 2018 based on his performance in the first class cricket. This is not the first time, this is not the debut series for him. He was given a chance. I don't remember exactly what test it was. I think it was in Pakistan. He was given a chance to play in that test match, but he didn't impress. The only problem I see with Mir Hamza over the years is his pace. If you see him right now as well, he's not the one who has express pace. He just balls around 126, 127. He hardly touches 180. So usually in the conditions where the pitches are not supporting seam bowling, he struggles. I mean, I've seen him playing live. He is not express pace, and usually, I mean, when there is no swing, he gets hammered. And one of the reason why he wasn't picked in the team is just because of his pace. The more in Pakistan, I mean, there was a mentality, there was a mindset that if you are able to click 140k plus, then only you'll be able to be in the team. And he was not
Right.
that sort of a guy. So I mean, we've seen in the past Naseem Shah, Shaheen Afridi, Haris Rauf, Shahnawaz Zani, Ihsanullah, all the pacers that we have seen coming in the team were the ones who were clicking 140k plus consistently. So he was lacking over there in that department, and plus he had his chances in the past, but he couldn't deliver. And I wouldn't be surprised if he may not have been given a chance right now as well, if the premium fast bowlers were fit to play. If we had Shaheen Shah Afridi, if we had Ihsanullah or Naseem Shah, or even for that matter, if Haris Rauf would have shown his availability to play, I am sure Mir Hamza would not have gotten a call again. So I think the reason why he was never called up is because he was never in the limelight when it comes to pace bowling, fast bowling.
Right.
But I'm glad he made it finally, and he's able to impress. But I think in the long run, if he has to sustain his place in the team. He has to be a bowler who can play long-term cricket for Pakistan. He need to improve his pace, because not every condition would be Australian condition. He will
Yeah,
have to bowl in Pakistan as well, and over there, I mean, if you don't have pace, if you bowl at 120s, in the range of 120s, you won't be any threat for the batters. Same goes for some other countries like South Africa, where the pitches are hard. You have to hit the deck hard, and in conditions like England, he may be useful because the ball seems a lot there. But in some other conditions, it'll have to be a mix of line length, swing, and pace. And I think pace is something that he's lacking. And this is
right.
the main reason why he was given a chance.
I see your point. It was just
Mm,
a seam. It was just the fact that when I
mm,
looked at his first class record, I was absolutely astonished that
mm,
he's only playing his what I think it's his fourth Test match now. After
right.
100 first class games, I think he averages 22 in first class cricket, and I forget how many five wicket bags. And if you look at
Mm,
his analysis today, 10 overs, 5 maidens, none for 11.
clever,
And
right.
maybe you're right. I mean, maybe this was just a pitch that suited him. Um,
Mm,
and maybe in that sense, he caught a lucky break because someone like
mm,
Harris Ralph
right.
decided that he wants to play in the the Big Bash. Um,
Mm,
but anyway, that's the way it is.
mm.
But Rana, with 3 days to play, how do you see the match playing out?
See again, as I mentioned earlier, that it all depends that what is the first single total that Australia puts on. My feel is that if somehow Pakistan are able to restrict Australia around 300, and even if they post a target for 250, so Pakistan would be in a position to win a match. Because, like the dismissal I was talking earlier about David Warner, like the bounce which Salman Ali Aga got, like he's just a part timer off spinner. But if he is able to extract something out of that pitch, so definitely you would expect Sajid Khan or Loin to do something in the next innings. So I feel that all depends that how well Pakistan bowls tomorrow, and if they are able to restrict Australia around 300, so Pakistan would be in a better position to win this match, and they have to post at least 250 a target for Australia in the fourth innings. So if they are able to do that, so definitely Pakistan would be having much more confidence, and things can go in right direction for Pakistan.
Well, I mean, it's quite interesting. I've been listening to the commentary, and these are serious people. It's Wazim Akram, it's Adam Gilchrist, it's Mark Waugh,
Mm,
it's Michael Vaughan, Ian Smith. People that have played at the SCG. And one of the things I've found really surprising, Asim, is
mm,
they've played down the whole role of spinners.
mm.
They said, "Oh, it doesn't bounce in Sydney," but
Yeah.
from my memory, and I know our age is relatively similar. Sydney was always the place, or Sydney and Adelaide were the places to play two spinners. And Stuart
Mm,
McGill, for example,
mm,
I think he probably played most of his tests at Sydney and Adelaide. Um,
mm,
and I just found it slightly strange um, that that they're playing down the role of the spinners. But
mm,
I think Pakistan's actually played a masterstroke here by having
mm,
Sajid Khan and Aga Salman.
mm,
And I know Aga Salman's a bit of a part timer,
mm,
but he's still a very good bowler, and he's taken crucial wickets already in this series.
mm,
I have a feeling that if Pakistan can put together a decent lead tomorrow,
mm,
bearing in mind Australia's is still 197 behind,
mm.
I think Pakistan's spinners or Pakistan's spin bowlers could actually potentially take their side to victory. What are your thoughts?
You're absolutely spot on, Andy. And Sydney pitch has always favored Pakistan. I mean, it feels like home condition for them. If you remember T20 World Cup that happened in Australia last year, Pakistan won their most important matches in Sydney. They won against South Africa and Sydney. Again, the pitch was behaving like a Sharjah or Dubai pitch. And then in the semi-final again, they were lucky to have that match in Sydney where they beat New Zealand in that match. Again, I mean, if you see that match, it was again looking like a subcontinent pitch. So Sydney has always been kind of a pitch where it assists the spinners and it kind of have a low bounce as compared to the other Australian pitches. So you're absolutely spot on. I think we have good spinners. We have two good spinners. It would have been awesome if we had Abrar Ahmed fit as well. He would have been a mystery spinner in these conditions, but unfortunately, injury is an issue that Pakistan team is dealing with. So we are not able to play mainstream players, be it the fast bowler, be it the spinners. So, but you're right. I mean, Sajid Khan is the key along with Agha Salman. If they are able to bowl good line and length, bowl good channels, push the batsman forward, I think they're the ones who can make a difference here, because Sydney pitch is the only pitch in Australia which assists spinners to some extent. And like Umair mentioned, Nathan Lyon will also come into play in the fourth innings when the pitch will start turning and shaping up. So any lead of 50 in the first inning, if Pakistan somehow able to restrict Australia to 250 to 260, they have a fair good chance if they can make 250 again in the second innings. So really looking forward to see how spinners bowl on this pitch, because like I said before, if Pakistan ever had a chance to win in Australia, that is going to be Sydney, because this is kind of a home like conditions for them. If you remember 2010 tour, which Umair was alluding to earlier, where Pakistan took all 20 wickets, I think that was again Sydney Test match where we had some mess ups from Kamran Akmal, some missed stumping, missed catches that costed us the match. But Sydney is always a place where Pakistan can fancy their chances, given that their spinners bowl well tomorrow.
Yeah. Okay. Great thoughts. Um, but Rana, I just want to come back to you. So obviously Pakistan has to take another 8 wickets tomorrow. I mean, unless Australia declares, obviously. I mean, that's unlikely. Um, but when Pakistan comes into bat again, and you'd think it would happen tomorrow, I have a sneaky suspicion that Shan Masood is going to play a blinder tomorrow. I've seen enough from him in this series that he obviously his test record's not particularly good, but I get the feeling that he's starting to take ownership of the side, and he's sort of worked out his own game. I think, everyone will say, well, it all depends on Bubba, as always. But I have a feeling that Shan Masood is actually the one that could lead Pakistan to victory. What's your opinion, Rana?
Like, and if you look like since Shan come back to the Test cricket, you would see a lot of 30s. And like we have seen so many innings where he was looking very good, well set for a big score, but eventually he falls down and get out in 20s and 30s. Similar thing happened yesterday as well. Like he was well set, and we were all hoping that okay, now since the conditions have eased out, so we might see a good 100 from Shan, but it didn't happen. But again, like like you can, if you have got good technique and like you are playing aggressively, like again in with regards to the modern day cricket, if you're playing according to that, so I think very soon we will be able to see a good knock from Shan, and it is due on him. Like, and if he gets a chance tomorrow to bat on, or maybe on day four, so we should see a good inning from that. But apart from that, there's a lot of things due on Babar as well. It's been entire 1 year we haven't seen any good match winning knock. So like the three players to watch out in the second inning of Pakistan, number one would be Saim Ayub. Why? Like it's a debut test for him. Like we as Pakistan fan, we all know how much capable he is. He can play aggressively. He can play aggressive shots on top of the order. Unfortunately, in the first innings, he got out with a very good delivery. It was almost an unplayable delivery for any person for any batter who's making a debut. So, like, I'm looking forward to see how Saim bats in second inning, and obviously Shan, but Babar again. So these three players, I'm looking forward. Like at least from one of them, we should be getting a big inning, which eventually contributes towards success of Pakistan.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I think the whole world wants to see Bubba score a magnificent 100 to win the match. That would be a dream, and Twitter would go quiet. So I guess it remains to be seen. But anyway, guys, Rana and Asim, thanks very much for joining me today on the Pakistan Cricket Show. We've got another day's play to look forward to on day 3 in Sydney tomorrow, and we'll be back on air again, same time tomorrow. So from me, Rana, and Asim here on Global Cricket Radio, that was the Pakistan